All right, hello English 101 students. I apologize for those of you that are missing class today. My son's ill, but I still want to go over the new essay assignment that we have. A couple of updates for the Tuesday, Thursday class. We'll do our evaluation of our peer groups on Thursday, and I'll be working on your papers this week. Okay, so let's get to the new essay. Which you will be able to print out both on Canvas, and I'll attach it to the announcement that has this video. So let's look at the due dates first and foremost. On the 6th of April, which is the first day we're back in school from spring break, you will have your introduction, thesis, and outline due in Canvas. That's by 11:59 p.m. Then on the 8th of that week, which is a Thursday, you will have, or excuse me, the 9th, your rough draft due in class. Please bring 2 copies. Just like with the first essay, we will do a peer review in class. Okay. And then the final draft is due on Friday, the 10th, by 11:59 p.m. in Canvas. All right, let's take a look at the assignment. And as I'm going over this, if you have the sheet in front of you, it would be a good idea to take notes on the assignment sheet. The assignment reads, many people enter college with an idea of what they want to do with their lives, but are unsure about exactly what path to take for a career. In a 1,200 to 1,500 word investigative paper, compare and contrast 2 career paths that you might like to take. For this assignment, you may compare and contrast 2 completely different occupations, or you might like to investigate 2 different sections of one field. For example, if you want to become an attorney, you might examine the benefits and drawbacks of family and criminal law. A lot of students go to Jefferson Davis for our nursing program. So another example of this would be you could compare, say, pediatric versus oncology nursing or something like that. It would be, it's up to you. So you can either 2 different careers or 2 different sections of one career. Whatever you choose to write about, you will be expected to incorporate the material you read about in this unit. Now, before I get to the meat of the assignment, I want to make something clear now, and I'll reiterate it at the end when we get to page 2 of the assignment sheet. But the focus of this essay is going to be on what you want out of a career. Because since this is a required assignment for everybody who takes English 101 at JD, I want it to be something you can use regardless of what happens to your career plans. The average college student changes majors 4 or 5 times throughout their college career. So I want you to do work that's going to be useful regardless of what major or job you eventually pick. That's why the focus of this paper is going to be on what you want out of a career. And I want you to keep that in mind as I'm going through this. Your focus is on the different items that are important to you in your career. Salary, where you're going to live, how much education you want to go through, type of job training, job environment, whatever is important to you, that's the focus of this essay. And I want to make that clear from the beginning that that's what you're going to focus on. All right, so moving on to what you're being asked to do. Whenever you hear the term compare and contrast, you may think similarities and differences in the 2 things you're being asked to examine. For this paper, consider the similarities and differences between the 2 careers you are investigating. However, the focus of this paper should be on what you want out of a career, as I just mentioned, and look at the similarities and differences in the 2 careers through this lens. By the end of the paper, you must make a strong case for which path you find more appealing through your contemplation and research on the topic. The idea, the conclusion for this paper is that it's going to be a segue into our final paper, which is an argumentative essay. Our argumentative essay is going to try to convince the audience, so that's what you're going to be doing in your conclusion for this paper. You need to convince the audience that the career that you're picking right now is the best choice for you. Your introduction should outline the two different career paths you're going to discuss, culminating in a thesis statement that indicates which you plan on pursuing. The thesis for this essay, the subject is the careers, or are the careers, and the significance is basically how you're going to compare them. On a rudimentary level, that's what you're going to be doing with the thesis statement. The body of your paper should compare and contrast the two careers, and the conclusion make a clear argument for which path you've decided is most appealing. The conclusion cannot be short on this essay because you have to make your case. I'm picking to be a nurse, pediatric nurse right now versus an oncology nurse for these reasons. And you need to give some detail. Convince me, convince your readers why you're picking the career that you're picking as of right now. Okay, there is a research component of this paper. The last two papers in this class are going to be research papers. You'll be asked to use 4 outside sources for this paper. One of them must be the STARS Transfer Guide. We're going to go over in class how you access the STARS Transfer Guide. You must copy and paste the first page of your STARS Guide and submit it with your paper. I'll show you how to do that in class, but it's just going to be the first page of the STARS Guide that has your name and your address and major and stuff on it. Although we'll go over it in class, I'll post a PowerPoint that will help you access STARS if you do not know how. This PowerPoint will also contain help with accessing the library's career resources. And we're going to talk about the resources the library has, how to access them. We might even have a work day in the library. We'll see how it goes. Now, I want to be clear that you may not use Wikipedia or any online encyclopedia besides Britannica or the Encarta, which are both available through the library's website. For this paper, you must use standard MLA formatting for in-text citation and your works cited page. We'll read the chapters in your book that cover MLA documentation requirements. Please note your works cited page does not count towards your word count. So the essay itself needs to be 1,200 words and then your works cited page. Now, a couple of things on citation. Because many of you, unfortunately, have not written many or even any research papers in high school, you're going to be a little bit behind at the start of this unit. I want to be honest with you up front that you're going to just have to do more work than other students if you've never written a research paper with citation. But I think if you're aware of it, you can plan ahead and be prepared for the work that you're going to have to do. But you do have to put the work in to do the citation correctly. In addition to that, even if you are familiar with research papers, you may have to review how to cite correctly. Some warnings with citation. Microsoft Word has a reference part of the program, but it always gets the formatting wrong. Always, without fail. Gets it wrong in some fashion without you tinkering with it. So my recommendation would just be to learn how to do it from the book, and then you can do it in the future. This information on citation is important to us because these are skills that you need in upper division classes and other classes. If you're going to a four-year school, instructors are just going to expect you to know how to cite your sources, and if you don't, they'll either take points away or fail you for plagiarism, and both those things are things you want to avoid, I assume. So make sure that you do the work now on citation so you're prepared for the future. Even if you're just going to English 102, you still need to know how to cite sources. Okay, so that's the research component. One more thing on research. I'll remind you that there is a policy in the syllabus on approved research material. Anything that comes from the library is a .edu or .gov is fair game. You can use those on your paper without asking permission first. However, .com, .biz, .org, .net, those have to get prior approval for you to use them on the paper. And I'll be reminding you of this policy, but it's on the syllabus if you want to look it up, the exact policy. But just keep in mind that if it doesn't come from the library and it's not a .edu or .gov, then you have to get prior approval to use it in the paper. All right, formatting, pretty standard stuff. I'll let you read this mostly for yourself. This just has to go with the formatting guidelines, stuff that your paper should contain. Now, a few years ago, I added this addendum to the paper, which is on page 2. to help you with the introduction, which you're going to have to do, introduction and outline what you're going to have to do, but also just to make sure you start off on the right foot with this paper. And this is what I said I would come back to when I was talking about how this paper is going to focus primarily on what you want out of a career. Okay, so here's some information that should make the compare and contrast essay clear. First of all, I'd like to state that the purpose of this essay is not just to research a couple different career paths, but also for you to examine what you want out of a career. As such, your paper is not going to end up being a laundry list of similarities and differences between the two careers. Rather, you need to decide what criteria for a career are important to you, clearly define these criteria, and look at the similarities and differences in your two careers through this lens. Now, for example, if salary is important to you in your career, you would not just want to say that in your paper that one job makes more money than the other, show a statistic, and describe the similarities and differences. Rather, describe what salary means to you. So we're using skills that we had in previous papers: definition, description, narration. All these things are going to be incorporated into this paper. Is it important for you to stay in a small town? Is your salary affected by staying in a small town? Would you rather live in a big city? Is the cost of living more there? So, you could make less in a small town than in a big city, but actually have more money. What's the effect of salary on your career between rural and urban settings? Does job satisfaction play into your concept of salary? If your job satisfaction is very important to you, it doesn't matter what you make. These are questions that I want you to think about and answer for your reader in your paper. Define what each item for comparison means to you. Now, you should start each of your arguments or items for comparison detailing what the issue means to you. Then you can compare and contrast the two fields for how they might fit your definition. So I've got an example of a skeleton outline here, what you cover in the introduction. Notice that each argument starts off with what this item means to me and how each of those fit. Think of this as kind of a formal dialogue that you're having with the reader, where you describe what it means to you, look at how the two careers fit that description, and then kind of digest that information. How does it affect your decision? Of course, I expect your outline to be more detailed than this, but I think it might help some of you get started. Remember that the more work you put into your outline, the more feedback I can give you in your paper. And that is true, and I'll do my best to get those turned around as soon as possible. All right, one final thing I want to mention on this video, on page 3 on your rubric. Do notice that this is broken in essentially into two parts. There's 100 points that go to the essay writing. Introduction, body, conclusion, grammar, mechanics, all that sort of stuff that we've used for grading on the first two papers. But notice that 50 out of the 150 points come from how you do citation. Number of sources cited in the paper. Use of in-text citations, which we'll go over. Formatting on the works cited page, which we will also go over, and submission of the STARS guide. This is 50 out of 100 points, so if you're not paying attention to the citation guidelines, an A paper can turn into a C paper real quickly. In addition to that, we are going to take an MLA test on the citation stuff that's worth essentially 8 quiz grades. It's a big chunk of your homework grade. So once we get into reading about citation, it's very important to you that you read that thoroughly, you study it well, and you're up to snuff with it. Because if you don't, it's going to affect your grade on this paper, and to be honest, affect your grades in future classes, because it's something in college you're just expected to know. Okay, that's about it as far as this paper goes. If you have any questions for me, please write them down, bring them to class, ask me in an email. If it's pertinent to the entire class, I'll bring it in and answer it for everybody. Once again, sorry I missed class today. Couldn't be helped, but this video should help you get started. Now, remember to post below if you're in my Tuesday, Thursday class, confirming that you watched the video. That's going to be your attendance for the 10th. All right, I'll see you guys on Thursday. Please let me know if you have any questions.